pretty grateful for it. I'm trying to be grateful for it. So all of the pieces that I cut could be wrong. 3 of the kitchen. I'm working on getting all of the trim up on the cabinet extensions. Then I'll be adding an additional detail to the cabinets that I'll explain later, but I'll just be getting the cabinets all finished out so that they're ready for paint and for the new drawer fronts and cabinet fronts to be swapped out. It's gonna start looking really good. Usually in the midst of a project, I don't do a great job at keeping my workshop clean, and as a result of that, it usually looks like a bomb went off mid-project. So that's how it's looking in here right now. Usually I come in whenever the project is done, like that renovation is done, and clean it all up and then start the process all over again. You need to cut crown molding. Do yourself a favor and buy one of these. It's called a crown jig by Craig. It is the best thing ever for cutting crown molding. It makes it so that you basically can't mess up, but it holds your crown at the same exact angle that you need for every cut. So they're always gonna line up perfectly. And it also gives you a nice little cut guide and tells you which way to swing the blade, which way to lay your crown. It's amazing. Crown molding is still very annoying in my opinion, but that just makes it so much better and less difficult to do. Maybe noticing that over here, it's not looking too nice. And that is because I went a little too deep whenever I cut back this trim over here on the wall to make room for my extension. And that was just a dumb mistake. I just eyeballed it. What I'm going to do is actually cut an additional sliver and just like glue it in here. And you truly will not be able to see it once I fill that all in with caulk, get it painted. Right now it's looking a little rough, especially right here. That's gonna need a little gap filler, but do your best and caulk the rest. I complain a lot about the back and forth. Like when I'm doing a project, just on my main level, I have to go up and down these steps to the deck and across the backyard to make one little cut. You know, like if I get it wrong, I have to go take a sliver off. And it's kind of exhausting, but it's also really good exercise. So I'm pretty grateful for it. I'm trying to be grateful for it. Okay, here's an example of using this Craig crown jig. You still have to flip your crown molding. So whenever you're cutting crown, you do have to turn it upside down to cut it. But it's providing like, this is a bad example because this is a really long piece. It's providing like the perfect angle, like a little cradle for your crown to sit in so it doesn't move when you cut. Your next cut has the same exact angle. Whenever you're not using this and you have to just use like a piece of tape lined up, it can get a little wonky. So this is really nice. And it has this cut guide. So it shows you like for a right inside corner, you need to turn the blade this way and then put your guide over here. It's so helpful. I didn't have paper, so I wrote my measurements on a little piece of scrap wood. I may be absolutely nuts for this, but I have a really cool idea. Some of you may have noticed the extension face that I added up here is not flush with the face of the cabinets, and there is a reason for that. I do have a plan for this. I love inset cabinets. Inset cabinets to me are just the best that it gets. In order to get inset cabinets, you have to just get rid of your overlay cabinets, which is what I have. I think I may have found a way around that. The cabinet door on an overlay lays on top of the face framing of the cabinet, and an inset cabinet, the door sits inside of the framing. So the door would be in here. Here is my plan. This might be absolutely nuts, but I think it's gonna work, and I think it's gonna be awesome. Instead of removing my cabinets and buying inset cabinets, why not try and convert this cabinet to an inset cabinet by adding framing to the front of the cabinets and then replacing the hinges. So these are overlay hinges, but it's a simple swap to replace your hinges for a different type. If I replace these for inset hinges, the door would pop out a little bit and go over this trim that I would be adding here. Then we would have inset cabinets, right? I feel like this is brilliant. Oh, of course. Oh my gosh. So like this type of hinge will not work because it's not made to go out and around the framing. So it's actually just kind of rubbing up against it. But all I have to do is replace the hinges. And actually I'm replacing the cabinet doors altogether. So once I do that, I'll be removing the hinges and putting the inset hinges on, and it will pop out around the framing. If I wanted, I could absolutely leave these cabinet door and replace the hinges to inset hinges. This is such a cool hack. If you don't want to spend that much money, but you want to update your existing partial overlay cabinets to inset cabinets. Obviously, I would need to fill in any gaps and holes, paint it all to match, and then still swap out those hinges because the door can't actually open any further than this with the regular hinges. But that is such a simple upgrade. I can't believe it. We got more snow last night. I'm heading out to the workshop to cut hopefully my last few trim pieces for the top of the cabinet, and then I can be done with that today. I feel like this is taking forever. The funny thing about crown molding is this is crown molding right side up, and that is an inside corner, and you wouldn't think that looking at it. Let me show you. These two corners make an inside corner. Doesn't look like it, but watch. When you turn it like this and then meet it, blows my mind every time. Putting up the rest of this trim up here today. I'm so excited to get this part done. It's just taking me so much longer than I thought. I have these 2 pieces of scrap wood, and I've been able to use these as spacers whenever I'm installing it. So if it looks like I'm just eyeballing the installation of all of this trim, I'm not. I am definitely using spacers for this. Hey, Emery. Augie's napping. Weirdly, if the girls make any noise, he wakes up. But I can be down here using saws and nail guns and hammers. Basically anything that involves renovating does not disturb him, not even one single bit. I think he was used to hearing those noises in the womb so much. I don't know. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Okay. I was just putting up that trim, like the framing on the cabinet. I made a realization. Some of them are like lopsided. Like, you know, when you can adjust the screws on the hinges and it makes one raise up, go up one way or down, whatever, you can make adjustments. I was measuring like how thick these boards need to be based off of potentially wonky cabinets. So all of the pieces that I cut could be wrong. And I think that if I make sure all the cabinets are straight, I can fix it. But I also am just waiting for new cabinet doors to come in. So I'm wondering if I should wait until the new cabinet doors come in and put those on before I even do all of this. Seems like the smarter thing to do. There's so many things to think about. Also, totally forgot. I am planning on replacing this tile, and I didn't even write it into my timeline to remove and replace the tile. And I kind of need to do that because I will be putting like a bottom onto these cabinets, and the tile kind of stands in the way of that. So that needs to come out first. So I may move on to the tile. As much as I don't want to like bounce around, I want to like get one thing done at a time, bite-sized chunks. I may have to jump around a little bit. So I'm going to figure this all out tonight, and I'll report back in the morning. A little not motivated. I have a lot ahead of me. I do have a timeline for this project. I need a little kick of motivation. So today I'm gonna be focusing on caulking, filling, sanding the trim and the range hood, because I'd like to go ahead and get some paint on that. And then I have a little fire under my butt, visual motivation to help me push through, because I have a lot to do and I don't wanna do it. I was just eating a piece of chocolate. I was in La La Land, zoned the heck out, filling all these holes. And I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden I like just unknowingly reach my finger up to my mouth. I was about to lick the spackle off of my finger. I was in eat mode, and this was on my finger basically. God, that would have been humbling. Okay. So I ended up adding this little like strip wood to kind of like box in the side of the cabinet, and I think it looks so much nicer, and I'll repeat that down here on all of the visible side cabinets to kind of like finish them off. And I do plan to add like a really cute decorative toe kick. And then I'm going to work on adding a little strip of tiny trim here to like close off the seam between the cabinet extension and the face framing that I'm adding. And there's just going to be so many little details that I need to add. It's going to take forever, but it's going to be such a huge transformation, along with covering up the bottoms. So like when you look up underneath, you can see like the underside of the cabinets, and that's kind of like, I'll cover that up and then also add a little piece of trim along the bottom of that too. So I have a lot to do. Okay, I'm putting up some more of this face framing, and where the framing meets that cabinet extension, there is a seam. So I bought this little piece of wood trim. I'm gonna just nail it in to cover up that seam, and then it'll look like all one piece. It'll add a nice little finishing detail. Oh yeah, that looks so nice. This face framing, I'm using this Select Pine, or I think it's called Select Pine, but they have it at Home Depot and Lowe's. It's a very dense pine board and it's got very little imperfections. So it's great for finish work like this. There's no like knots or anything like that. It's just very smooth. I'm cutting it down with the miter saw for length and then ripping it down in the table saw width-wise. I just put up the last piece of face framing on the uppers. Holy crap. So all of my filler is drying. Once I sand that down, I can caulk. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and start moving on the bottom cabinets face framing because I need to do this side and then I also need to do this side. So it's gonna take me a little bit for that, but we're making progress. Okay, to get these measurements, I'm allowing for 1/8 of an inch reveal on each side of the cabinet. So this total measurement to the cabinet edge is 1 1/4. So the thickness of my face framing will be 1 1/8. 1 1/8 inch. So my measurement here, 30 inches. I don't know, 15? I have been sanding all morning. I am determined, I just caulked too on the range hood. I'm determined to get the range hood and the trim right here painted. I know that that's jumping ahead a little bit, but it's little things like that that just fire you up to continue on, and I need a little motivation. So we're gonna do that today, and then I gotta continue framing out the cabinets. This color is so pretty. It's like it's like the same color as my drop cloth. It's called Creamy White by Benjamin Moore. Oh my gosh. So good. Oh my gosh. Look at how beautiful. I love this color. It's Creamy White by Benjamin Moore. I love a warm white in a kitchen. It's just so timeless to me. This is the original white that I painted, and this I feel like is definitely overdone, a white like this, but this right here to me is like, I just don't feel like I'd ever get tired of it. So I feel like it was the perfect choice. I will be incorporating a lot of like a mix of metals, and I will be adding in some color elsewhere, but I think that this is just perfect. It's perfect. Chef's kiss.